Hey everyone, welcome to Learn DAX channel. My name is Siddesh and in this video we are going to create a date table in Power BI. So in my previous video I had loaded the dataset which is the Adidas US Sales dataset and we had downloaded it from Kaggle and loaded into Power BI. Now before we start any analysis it is important for us to have a separate date table so that we can use all the time intelligence functions as the basic requirement of some of the time intelligence functions that we could be using in our analysis is that they want a contiguous set of dates. And it's also considered a best practice to have a separate date table in any data model. So without further ado, let's get started and let's create a separate date table. Now, if I go to my data sales Adidas table, I can see, like I mentioned in the earlier part of my video, that there is a column called as invoice date, which has these dates like 1st Jan, 2nd Jan, 3rd Jan, 4th Jan. But we want a separate date table. So it will be very simple. I go to the modeling tab, I choose this new table, and I'm going to use a very simple tax function, which is Calendarauto. I'm not going to do any alterations to that. I'll just simply write Calendarauto, and it will automatically, based on the data model or the set of dates that exist in our fact table, it is going to create a date table. So since in my data set the dates start from 1st Jan 2020 till 31st December 2021, I'm expecting that it populates a date table which starts from 1st Jan 2020 till 31st December 2021. So I hit enter and then I go ahead and check in my date table. So the first date is 1st of Jan 2020 and my last date will be 31st December 2021. So yeah, that's it. We have created a date table and we have this data sales Adidas. So there are a couple of quick things that I would want to do before we proceed with the analysis is first of all, this name is too lengthy, data sales Adidas. I would want to simply name it as sales first. And the second thing that I would want to do that if there is no connection already between, yeah, there's no connection already between the date in my date table and the invoice date in my sales table, I would just want to create a connection between the two. And yes, so this window appears and it's saying that there's a one-to-many relationship between the date column in the date table to the invoice date column in my sales table. So I'm going to click save and we just want to make a random check. Let's say on the 3rd of January, what were the sales? If I source it from the sales table, the invoice date, and check for the total sales, and similarly, I will drag the 4th of Jan date from my date table and check the total sales, which will at least give me a confirmation that the dates are now synced and that I'm getting the correct output. So I'll just quickly go to report view and I'll I'll first pull out invoice date. Let's filter this for only, let's filter it for first, second, third, fourth. Yeah, I think that should be enough. Then I'll drag total sales in here. So I'm getting some 8 lakh 45,141 for first Jan, 6 lakh 89,000. So we have the numbers now. Now what I want to do is I'll drag the date from the date table. Now I want the date, not the date hierarchy. And I would want the total sales. But before that, I have to filter this. I just need these 4 dates. And along with that, I need the total sales. So if I go ahead and check for the first Jan, it is showing me around 8 lakh 45,000. It's the same as 8 lakh 45,000. 6 lakh 89,000, 6 lakh 89,000. So yeah, these values are adding up. They are pretty much correct. Not pretty much, they are actually absolutely correct. So this just confirms that our connection is established and it is working fine. Now if I want to make any changes to the date format, I think I can just go to the format or view. Let me click here. Yeah. So I want the date format to be in this format, short date. I don't want a timestamp. So this will change. Okay, yeah, now I can see that this looks pretty much something that looks like a date and not date and time. So yeah, that's it. Now, if you want to know more about the calendar and calendar auto function, then I've already created a video on the same, and I will leave the link in the description. You can go ahead and check it out. I've described in more details how you would use calendar function and how would you use the calendar auto function. And if you want a little brush up on some of the time intelligence function like dates in period, dates in between, then I've already created a couple of videos on the same, and I will leave the link in the description. You can go ahead and check them out. And that's it. That's it for this video. We only wanted to create a date table and connect it to the data model. And the analysis part we will start from the next video. Until then, thanks for watching and happy learning.